Pleb Talk.
Pleb Talk, welcome back, guys. This is episode 14. Welcome back. It's been a little while, but we are glad to be back.
Actually, 15. Episode 15.
15.
Yeah.
Look at that.
We're a little rusty, but it's alright.
Yeah, it's been a while for sure. But happy to be back, guys.
Yes. If you're a new listener, I'm Sean.
My name is Aseo. What do we
Pleb
talk about?
We talk about all kinds of things. We usually, start off with a little, just a little nice little intro thing, just to get a little taste. And then we get into our two main topics. We like to enjoy a little something while we're doing this. And before we get into our drink, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, all I'm wearing right now is besides shorts and undergarments and stuff, 2016-2017 away Juventus
Very nice.
kit.
Very nice.
What are we drinking?
Yes, we are drinking something from the Cigar Brewing Company, Tampa, Florida. Hencho e Mano. What does that mean?
Where did you see that? Made by hand.
Oh, made by hand. Nice. I like it. By Maduro. Is that a D?
Yeah,
anyways, it's a brown
gotta be.
ale.
It's
It's
gotta be.
pretty good. Let's try it, yeah?
It doesn't look like it's going to be flavorful. I don't know. It's
I'm a little afraid, but interested at the same time.
yeah, because cigar company and then beer, that might be a good combination for people that kind of lost their minds. But
Cheers.
for us, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see about it.
Let's see.
All right, we'll
Cheers.
let you know here in a little bit.
Maduro, it's good. It's interesting. On the back it says, named after a dark cigar wrapper, Maduro Brown Ale boasts notes of semi-sweet chocolate, toffee, and hints of fresh coffee.
I can definitely taste the chocolate and toffee. A little bit of coffee that kind of rhymes, so you know it's real.
Interesting.
And at the very, very end is very, very strange what that cigar flavor comes out. I thought it was very unique. Not bad. It's not my preference, but I mean, I can definitely drink it.
It'll be interesting. We should for an episode, just the full episode, make our own beer. I don't know how long it takes. I mean, the fermentation might take a little while, right? But as long as the preparation before it's fermented for a day or two, I don't know how long it takes. We should probably do it. Make our own little beer here. That'd be interesting.
Is there legal issues with that?
No, there's kits. You can make kits. There's kits that sell
Oh, really?
everything
Okay.
you need for the most part, and then you just toss in I don't know, hints of chocolate or mint, or I don't know what you could do with it. Or,
Interesting.
but yeah, welcome back, guys.
We're gonna get into it, yeah?
Yeah, let's. What do you got me? What
All
do you
right.
got for
So
me?
we
Let's
talked.
see.
The last intro topic I talked to you in episode 14 was a song that just puts you in that mood. That just strikes that tone with you, and you just vibe with it.
Yeah.
For this one, it's. Do you think the most popular songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s,
Okay.
do you think that they would be popular today? As let's say it just came out fresh today.
Okay. That's interesting.
Let's say the Beatles, for example, because I remember you had an episode with the Beatles.
Yeah.
With one of our guest speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if the Beatles came out today, released one of their bangers from the past today, how do you think it would be received?
So are we attaching the name of the Beatles with the song, or just a really popular song that would have been made in the 60s drops today? Does that make sense?
Let's just say, let's do both.
Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe the answer is the same for both, because the thing is that there's sounds that we like, right? There's sounds that are attractive today, and the same can go for a movie, right? I saw the Terminator, the first one. I don't know when it was made, 1995 or something like that, or earlier, 80s or some shit or something. I saw it, and it was I mean, as far as from like a CGI or like a mechanical and budget standpoint, it was terrible, right? Like if you look at it from that perspective, it's horrendous. What's so good about it is like the story and how original it was whenever it came out, and how progressive and futuristic they presumed the future would be, which is nothing like that today, in some sense at least. So I guess what you're saying is can old art be admired and appreciated in today's sense? The answer, I say no, dude. I don't think so, because like
okay.
If we're saying like a song from the Beatles, for example, just because we're already on them, they, songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, the sounds and the instruments that they had back then and the mixing tools were maybe even like a percentage, a fraction of what is available today. I don't know.
I would have to disagree. I mean, I would have to agree but disagree at the same time. Because I would say back then, in order to get that sound that they wanted, it had to be absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Because there was a lack of technology. Like the mic had to be that perfect distance away.
Okay.
Those instruments had to be in perfect tune because there was no real true way to edit it.
So you're appreciating the craft at that point, right? But as a fan, or rather as a listener...
Well, I was just mentioning the craft.
Yeah.
Just because you said,
right.
You just mentioned the technology.
There's so much, like, wiggle room today, right? Like, you can mess up a little bit, like auto-tune, right? You can mess up your voice, you can crack a little bit. But with auto-tune, you can make it sound, perfect, flawless.
Ice JJ Fish.
Yeah. So, the craft can be appreciated more, but as far as, like, the thing about popular music today is, like, we want that quick now type of music, right? I don't
think they want that quick. I think what they want is repetition.
They want repetition?
I think that people want repetition. That's what I think they want. I'm not saying I want repetition, but I'm just saying a lot of people, think of how songs are. It's just, chorus, bridge, chorus, bridge. I don't even know if bridge is the right word, but chorus, it's basically over and over again.
There is a formula to it, and that hits, right? Because that's what like popular pop artists are looking for. Like, okay, why did this guy's or this girl's song go be so famous? So they dissect the way it sounds, like the vowels, what words they pronounce, and what words they put emphasis on, and what clicks, what sounds amusing to our ears, right? What hypnotizes us, right?
Sure.
And these are all like factors that are considered for like Dua Lipa and Post Malone and the South Korean band or artist group BTS.
BTS.
Like these are all things that I'm sure that they have some engineer look into. Like, why did Michael Jackson and what song hit so hard at that time and why? And maybe they take hints of the production of a song and sound and replicate it in today's sense.
So are you saying that if I don't know, DJ Leafy Greens comes out with, Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal, it ain't gonna hit? Is that what you're telling me? And he does it exactly the way Michael Jackson does it.
Like if Billie Jean came out today.
Billie Jean comes out today
some other artist.
by Lil Wonky.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I really don't think it's gonna hit, because there's also like
the time.
The time and like the artist, right? Like who Michael Jackson was and what he represents alone besides his music, and kind of like the nostalgia that maybe your parents and my parents have whenever he dropped that album or that song, that single, and all of that carries weight. So
let me just tweak that a little bit.
Okay.
What if Michael Jackson is growing up right now and he drops Smooth Criminal? Do you still think it? Do you think if it is Michael Jackson himself doing it? Do you think it might make a difference about, what he resembles?
I think so, man, because there's genres, right? Like there's decades that genres are important, right? Like so there's like the rock genre, so like Metallica and Aerosmith and stuff like that. And music, there is no equivalent to Aerosmith today, right? Because that sound doesn't really
resonate nowadays.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate. Yeah, it does not appetize. We've already heard it. We've already had it. So having an artist like Michael Jackson and pop artist or I don't know how you describe him, I feel like it just wouldn't hit. I don't think so, dude. I mean, it'd be a nice experiment. Obviously, it's impossible because we can't drop a song of his today. But it just wouldn't. Like right now, it's like we want that rap, right? We want that quick rap. We want the really poppy sounding lyrics, and Smooth Criminal, although all-time great of his, it just wouldn't hit today, man. Unfortunately, right? But
hit.
I mean, what do you think?
I don't think it would hit either.
Yeah.
I just think, people nowadays, they're just different.
We're looking for something else now.
Yeah, people, the general population is just different now.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah, absolutely. But just, it almost goes to show, not goes to show, but you almost wonder what kind of hidden hits that was released and no one really appreciated and no one will ever find.
Back in the day?
Yeah, from back then.
Oh, that's interesting because that's...
Or maybe now that drops now and in like 80s or 90s it would have been a banger,
Fire.
But now it's just like, who the hell cares?
Yeah, that's a good point. Quick note on that, actually. One of my friends, actually Diego, the one that was here for the episode, the special guest, he told me about a band that recorded just one disc. I believe it was a tape. I believe it was in the UK. They recorded a disc, a band, artist, whatever, and I don't remember if they released it or not. The albums, the tapes, but for some reason, whatever reason, like no one bought them. Right? Like they weren't mass produced anyway. Someone found a tape, one of the tapes of this one artist band in either a like a record store, or it was like someone's basement. I don't remember which one it was. And they're like, hey, you know what? I've never heard of this artist. I'm going to look him up. There was nothing on the internet for that artist, right? Nothing whatsoever. Like no Spotify, no Google search, nothing like that. And the music was actually pretty good. It was, like 80s or 90s or something like that. This this individual that found the tape uploaded it to like Reddit or something like that to like discuss like, hey, has anybody ever heard of, I don't know what the name of the band, the Stones of this band? Like no, like send me the link or download it or whatever. Long story short, it was great music, and they sent it to Spotify. Spotify uploaded it, and on the description of that artist, they're like, it tells that story. Like, yeah, this artist dropped this tape. It wasn't like mass produced in any way. There's just a couple tapes made. They were sold, and that was it. And then this person, like 5-6 years ago, found the tape, and then kind of spread the word for them a little bit. So they kind of came back a little bit. Now that they're way older, and it's like that's cool though, because kind of goes to show, like, if you have like any interest, or any of you guys have an interest like in music, even if you're already like an engineer or a doctor or whatever, what have you, give it a shot. Hey, go make the tape of whatever you're feeling. If it's like a DJ tape, some instrumentals, or you want to sing a little bit, hey, make a tape and tell your friends and maybe spread the word like that. Like, I don't know what those people that artist is doing today, right? I don't know if they're still making music for someone else, producing or whatever, or just something completely different like bricklayer or whatever. But hey, at least they tried and they made a couple things, and hey, they're somewhat in the scope of like those underground music junkies that like to find those low key artists and jam out to them. I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, dude.
I've made a few tracks in my day. They weren't very good. Well, I mean, some people might think so. Others, I don't know.
Some tracks.
Yeah. Maybe one day y'all will hear it. But anyways, look into our main topic.
Okay.
I'll say hit me with it. You said you had something you didn't want to tell me about it, so it's going to be fresh off the dome. Let me know.
Yeah, so on my personal Instagram, I follow a couple of like philosophy quotes accounts that they occasionally, once a day or once a week, whatever, they post a quote, right? And they always, like, under description, they always put what are your thoughts, right? So you can comment down below whether you agree, disagree, why you agree or why you disagree. So this account posted this quote. I'll tell you it. I'll read it to you, and I'll let it sink in.
I'm gonna be really, really mad if this quote is whack. But
well, so let me give you some pretext. It's not whack. It's something that's like, it's thoughtful, like something you can think about, right? It depends also how far you want to go into. You could be like, yes, no, period. Or you could be like, okay, let me think about it. So this is a quote by Will Durant, and I quote. It's short. "We are choked with news and starved of history."
That's it?
That's it. We are choked with news and starved of history.
Okay.
Let it sink in. Think about it a little bit. I commented on this quote. I said some things, so I'll let you think or say what you think. I got 14 likes on it, solid, on my thought on it. And then the owner of the account commented on my comment, and then I said something else. So I'll go through that. But what do you think? Like I said, how far do you want to go with this? We are choked with news and starved of history. Will Durant.
In a very general way to go about it, I see it, I get it, but I think when you really get down to the nitty gritty and what's really going on, I think personally with the news, I think it's, I don't think it's exactly relevant, but I could loosely apply it.
Okay.
By what I mean is, I see the news. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the news is absolutely essential.
Okay.
But I think
absolutely essential.
I think the news is very essential.
Okay.
Just by how the smallest things that happen in, name a country.
I mean, right now, this important or what's in the news a lot is Ukraine, Russia.
Okay, so Ukraine and Russia.
Okay.
I mean, how the smallest things can send shockwaves around the world,
Sure.
and the repercussions.
Sure.
Like how Ukraine and Russia, the implications of Germany, for example. Germany and the relationship of that is, at the time, Germany relied on 50% of their natural gas came from Russia.
Okay.
From this one company called Gazprom.
Okay.
Because of that, natural gas, they didn't want anything to do with Russia really, so then they switched their I guess suppliers of natural gas. Now I think they only take like 9% from Russia now. But regardless, energy is not exactly the most abundant there. Now they kind of have their own energy problems because they have to find it through other means.
Right.
But just my point is how the smallest things can send shockwaves around the world, and it's almost like the smaller things, and it's gonna sound big, but in the grand scheme, don't get me wrong, it is big. Without a doubt, it is big. But like whenever you watch the news, for example, and BBC World News or ABC Tonight.
Yeah.
ABC Tonight goes through an hour of like, this happened, plane crash happened here, this plane was shot down, blah blah blah. All these big things happen around the world, right?
Yeah.
And at the very, very, very end, they'd be like, 23 people died in this one place. People are just people have been so, I guess, been force fed some news events so much that it almost desensitizes them to what's really going on. That they're getting spoon fed all these different news things.
Yeah.
And because they're only getting hit with the biggest things, other things that are going on, it doesn't really strike them in that way. You see what I'm saying? I think history is very, very. I think history. I'm not gonna say it's very, very important, but I think history does have its place.
Of course.
That being said, I just think the whole mantra is people always looking forward. So because of that, they do kind of lose sight of the past.
Absolutely.
But that's just my little take on it.
Yeah. So what I said, my first comment was, it must be a balance. The news of today will eventually be the history of yesterday. So we must be selective as to what news and history we can learn from and grow from. This is easier said than done, I said. That was my first comment. So I guess just to back it up before I move on to what the owner of the account said or replied. Even to your point, you said some news goes unnoticed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that it's not important, but you can't hold on to everything, right? Like you can't take everything in because you'll be depressed. You'll be miserable if you're like, oh, this guy, this car accident over here, this shooting over here, like you said, a plane crash, an assassination.
Yeah,
you can't hold on to this. Like you have to let it go and
there's just so much sensory overload.
Yeah, and it is dangerous. For someone that really believes that your news is like what you need every day. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess you should say, because history, although even history could even be like argued in the sense that like only the winners write history, right?
All right.
And then you're always like you don't even know who to believe, right? So it's like what actually happened. But as far as in in the grand scheme of things, history tends to have a little bit more intrinsic value, maybe. Like it's like it's happened for sure, and it went down like this, and I can take that. But now when you go like 200, 300 years ago, that it gets a little foggy, right? Because it's always like, Christopher Columbus stuff. Like I really don't know how or what happened on the boat and who killed who and what happened, but we just kind of know that whole story's kind of messed up. Just an example.
It's
of
like
course.
some Art of War stuff. Like
yeah.
It's always best to strike your enemy when they're sleeping.
And
like,
then you don't even know exactly what happened. Like he probably lost a war like that, and he just wrote it like, oh, I should have done this, but I'm gonna say it like I did. So it's like you don't know who to believe, right?
Yeah.
So even history you want to take with a grain of salt at times as well, right? That's why I said it must be a balance, right? You can't take everything in the current news because a lot of it is just contemporary, perhaps. Not to say it's not important, but like COVID, we lost a lot of people, right? You can't continue to remember these people forever. Like, I mean, as far as like you can't say 30,000 people died, and think about that for the rest of your life. Like you have to let it go. Like it happened. Let's move forward. Now it's history. But even in history, there are things that, because history repeats itself. I don't know who said that first, but it repeats itself. So it's also important to remember in that sense, like how wars start and Great Depressions and stuff like that and whatever. So that's what I kind of meant with that. The owner of the account replied to me, 99.9% of news will not become relevant history. It is worth spending our time seeking that 0.01% when we have plenty of history to draw lessons from. That was a question. It does repeat itself, he said, or she said, or it said. Basically saying kind of what we've been saying already, right? So little will make it to the history books. So little will make it to history books from what happened today, if anything, right? But then even back to what we were saying before, history books are written by, some company that believes, this is very important. And then
McGraw-Hill and Pearson. And
this other thing won't. Yeah. And they could get, into some really sketchy waters. He actually got more likes on that comment than I did, but it's his account, so it's whatever. This individual said, if you watch the news, you can watch history repeat itself in real time. That's if you're studied history. True. Sure. Fair enough. My last comment, it was this. When it comes to the mass media of today, then yes, most if not all is redundant. But we can also talk about that one saying, history is written by the winners. Not only referring to wars and conflicts, but the flaws of countries, organizations, and even down to the individual. Because in the history books, what we consider heroes may have moments in their lives where they perhaps don't do heroic things, but rather terrible things. And this can all be diluted down into saying they were great role models for all in a textbook. This is a great topic. I'll talk about this on my next podcast episode. I said today, but I don't think it happened that day. On Pleb Talk is the name of it. Thank you. So shout out to Pleb Talk and shout out to this individual. But yeah, I think we had a little topic like this before where there was like the heroes on the history books, right? Who, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy.
Stalin. He's not really a winner, but yeah.
So like all these people that we look up to, but in the history books they don't talk about the cheating scandals and I believe both Martin Luther King and JFK cheated on their wives. Not to say that, not to like take their fame away from them, but
yeah,
heroes are all have heroic things here and there, but it's also they're humans, so they mess up. And there's faults. So even your heroes shouldn't be worshipped, I guess, right? That kind of goes with religion, but take everything with a grain of salt. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely. I'm all about learning from people's mistakes.
Yeah.
I was like something like Mark Twain said, something like, what did he say? Like learn from everyone's mistake because you're not going to make them all or something like that. I don't know. I'm not much of a historian or anything. So.
I thought it was just interesting, man. It's just interesting, especially like in the last 3 years with this whole COVID and pandemic, right? Like news, everybody's like, oh, what's going on? And then Donald Trump's famous saying, fake news.
Yeah.
Like, who do you listen to, right? And what should you take in and absorb and digest, and what should you not? And how news channels or anchors focus on one topic that they know that will bring views, but not because it's good that everybody should know, but rather because they want the numbers, right?
Yeah, I absolutely hate this term, but stay woke. Don't be easily persuaded.
Hey, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
But when you're just, I mean, like the quote says, whenever you're freaking choked with news, where do you go to? A book, I guess.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Well,
I mean, I do like a lot of like article reading.
Yeah.
I guess that's like a book, but I can't just sit down and just read 1,000 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not me.
I mean, the good thing about a book is that you kind of know if it's like a book about medical stuff, then you know you're just going to learn about medical stuff. They won't like throw in some sports news in there and like bore you to death. So I guess you can kind of choose what you want, but that could also be dangerous because like you're not opening yourself up to other possibilities if you're going down one genre or one topic. And also like with books, if you want to believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy theory and aliens did it, then you'll probably find a book for that. And it'll convince you, and it'll even reinforce your conspiracy to believe that was true, and that could be dangerous as well. And that's just an example. Yeah, no, man. Let's move on.
All right, man.
Let's move on.
I like that. I'll say that I did like that a little bit. Yeah. So what I was gonna get into.
What do we got?
Math. All right. Sounds really boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, okay, I want you to think about this.
Sure,
So,
sure.
biology.
Okay.
All right. The explanation behind biology is chemistry.
Okay.
The explanation behind chemistry is physics.
Okay.
The explanation behind physics is math.
Mm.
The explanation of math, I mean, it's kind of like the fundamentals right there.
Okay.
Like, I mean, math is like the foundation.
Yeah.
Do you think math was created or discovered?
Okay, so let's break it down. What is math? Right? 2 + 2 type of thing. Or are we talking like pyramids and
I'm talking like
Pythagorean theorem?
the whole yeah, I'm talking about the whole thing of math. Like, I mean, calculus, differential equations, the whole subject of math.
Well, I
Pure
feel like
math.
that might be too much of a broad topic to tackle with saying it was created or it was discovered. I just don't think it falls on one side or the other. Because, look, obviously, +2 + 2.
Yeah, what about it?
Like, that's level 1, right? That's level
Sure,
0.
but see, I think that's the problem. I think you're looking at it at face value.
Okay.
I think you need to get behind the 2 + 2.
Okay, so how deep are we going? Because like Pythagorean theorem, I feel like it's something you'd have to create, right? Like when we're going to like deeper stuff in like high school.
So you think he created the you think he created the Pythagorean theorem? Is that what you're saying?
Wasn't the guy's name Pythagorean or something like that?
Right. So like Pythagoras. So you think Pythagoras created the Pythagorean theorem, or was it always there in the universe?
Oh, okay. No, yeah. So I mean, triangles, right? That's what Pythagorean theorem is, right?
It has to do with triangles. Area? Yeah, it's about finding the hypotenuse.
Oh, that's right. The angles, no?
The longest side of a triangle.
Okay. No, that's always been. I mean, okay, so yeah, that's what I want to break it down. What do you? So it's always. I mean, triangles have always been there, and maybe I just don't know if the.
Yeah, triangles have always been there. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if like there's never been like an always before Pythagorean or whatever that happened. There was no interest to find out. Oh, I want to see what the longest side is with just having 2 numbers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no interest up until the point where like I said pyramids or something, or they're trying to build some building and they need to find some numbers and something finally worked out. So in that sense, it was created, right? Because we need something, a formula to find out what that third side is.
So you think it was created?
In that sense, yes. I mean,
in that sense, it was created.
Yeah.
You say it's created.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, does that make sense? Or what do you think? Because discovered is not like something like you come across. Like discovery is something that's always been there, and then someone stumbles upon it. Like, oh, whoa.
So then, what do you think about like calculus and like differentiating like or all these different rules in calculus, like chain rule, and how the steps and approaches you can take on an equation. You think that's all created? So if it was created,
Yeah.
if you think it was created, what's the point of even going to math class?
I mean, what do you mean? I mean, it's created just like a building was created, architectural building or engineering building. Just because it was created doesn't mean you don't have to go learn about it. If you want to be an engineer or an architect, you have to go learn on how to build that building, right? Now, why it's taught like in high school, that's about curriculum. That's something else, right?
Yeah.
But of course, like if I want to be a mathematician and I want to, whatever, I guess, teach math, then I have to go learn these formulas, right? And the reason they're necessary for finding out why X, Y, and Z is the way it is, right? I mean,
so just establishing, you really do think math was created?
Okay, see,
because that's the thing. Okay, so if you think math was created, math, as far as I know, I mean, I know there's a lot more math that I don't know than there is math that I do know.
For sure, 100%, me too.
So as far as I know, math is never wrong. So you think everything about math that has been created being 100% right is 100% truth creation? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good question because look, like we can compare it to something like physics, right? Like gravity.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? I don't know why was it Newton that believed.
Like the third law of Newton or something like that. Yeah.
So I don't know what the first ideas of gravity were, right? If it's like, it just falls because wind or something like that, or if it just falls because it's a heavy object or it's a physical object.
Because, like I said, chemistry is the explanation of biology. Yeah. Physics is the explanation of chemistry.
Yeah.
And math explains all of physics.
The thing about math is that
they all explain each other.
Right. Is it a circle or is it just a one way?
It's just a one-way street.
Oh, okay, one-way street. The thing about math is that it's not like we're going to find out a new number tomorrow, right? Like, you know what? There's a number between 3 and 4 that we didn't know about, right? And then, if that were the case, then all of math is out the window, right? Like, we got to restart, right?
But it's infinite, so I mean, all the numbers are there.
Right, right. So it's not. You can't compare it to any of the other sciences because sciences are studies, right?
But that's the thing. I mean, math explains all the sciences.
So, but because it's so much of a ground level study, I think it's so grounded that there is no. You can't really mess it up, right? Does that make sense? Like
I think you can mess up. I messed up math all the time.
Well, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. I'm saying like this formula will forever be correct if used correctly, of course. Now I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not in that sense. I messed up math.
Do you know how many times I tried dividing by 0 in math class?
Hey, you do it enough until you find out that, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. Or multiply by 0. It doesn't matter. But math is not like the other sciences in that I don't know if there's any more discoveries to be made besides new formulas, right? Like, or new ways to explain things, but not like in the sense where gravity. Gravity is because of this, like, solar system pull and the way that we're around the sun, and then solar system and then the way we revolve around the sun, and that all stuff that can change next year, right? That we can find like, no, the reason this happens is because that. But math is so grounded in that not unless a new number comes out, drops tomorrow, it's gonna stay the same. It's gonna be.
I don't know, man. I think you're wrong on that. So I actually think you're wrong.
Okay, so explain. So do you think well, give me an example where like math has been like.
Because there was a time when people didn't know about calculus.
People
didn't know about differential equations.
Right.
And
that's fair.
all that
That's
stuff.
fair.
So as far as they were concerned,
yeah,
math was. I mean, that was all they knew, and that's all they thought. That's all they thought that would ever exist. And that's what you are saying right now is that this is all we've learned. We've learned it all. And this is all that will ever exist, is what we know.
No. I did say that if there's a new formula that comes out to explain something else, whatever that is,
exactly, it would be discovered because it was always there.
Right. Well, the formula would be created.
So you think the formula would be created?
Because formulas are created, right? Like so that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Like, so you have two sides of a triangle. I want to know what the third size is, like how long it is in yards or whatever. I need to find a formula. I need to make a formula that would explain or that would help me find what that third side is. In that sense, you have to create a formula. Was there always? I mean, see, that's the thing. Like, was there always a formula there?
It was all. Look, in my opinion, it was always there.
How would you explain that, though?
Because how else would you come across it?
You don't come across it. You create it. Like I said, an engineer needs to know, yo, like, I can't measure with my tape measure for whatever reason. That didn't exist back in 200 BC or whatever, right? Or whatever that was created. So I need some sort of tool or formula in this sense, in this case, to help me find out what that third side is. Because this is such like an abstract topic, right? Because like, how is something always there? It's not like finding steel, right? You know, it was in the mountains, but we didn't know that, or gold or whatever. You have to like wait until like volcanic eruptions and break into mountains and find that precious metal. That's always been there. We just never looked for it.
That's the thing. I think it was always there. I think all of math was always there. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. How could over the years, how could all this math that has been created, and I say that in quotes, how could it always be 100% right? It had to be discovered because, you know, the properties of the universe made it 100% right, because that's what can exist in the universe. There's only things that are 100% factual.
Right. Well, I guess give me a concrete example, like the way I'm giving you like this Pythagorean theorem, because it's an actual physical formula, right? Like some Pythagoras or whatever, he came up with that formula. That formula was not there before him.
It was there. It's just he had to discover it.
Okay, discover it, but what does that mean? I mean, see, I guess we have to define what discovery and created is. Did he create it or did he discover it?
He discovered it, 100%.
But how do you discover something? Does that make sense? Like,
discover, to find something unexpectedly or in the course of a search. He discovered it, 100%.
Okay, so what is create? So
to bring something into existence. Everything was always in existence.
Right, but that formula, right? Because these numbers, what is it, like a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
Yeah.
That was all him. He created that. But before him, there was no need. I guess we're getting. I think we're on the same page. We're just getting rumbled up on the definition of created and discovered. Because,
I mean, maybe he was the one who said a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But I mean, it was always there. Whether the universe called it, you know, pi squared plus.
Because the thing about math is it's ideas, right? Math is all in your head. You can't come across, multiplication in the wilderness, right?
You can't come across.
Like it's not like something. It's not like physical. It's not like, oh, you know what? Like I went on a walk yesterday and I found out, what 75 times 35 is. Like it's not something you come across. It's not something you discover.
That's debatable.
I mean, okay, let's be real. You don't. Someone that doesn't understand math doesn't one day just come across something like that. Like, yo, like that found something. I discovered, what the answer is. No, you have to find a formula. So formulas are all created.
Exactly, you have to find it. Which means you discovered it, not created it.
I guess I'm stuck on formulas. Formulas are all created. Is that fair?
I don't think that's fair. I wouldn't call that fair.
How come you don't?
Because I think the formula was created. I think the only thing. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The formulas were.
Cut that part out and just put that on the Instagram. So like that's all I need.
They were discovered. The only creation of it was how they labeled it. The formula was always there. It's just about how that person defined the formula.
Yeah, I mean it's this one's hard to. It's so abstract, right, man? It's so abstract because it's like I said, it's not like the other sciences. Like how does a heart work, right? And then what is a heart made out of, or organs and stuff like that. These are all things that you can kind of like put under a microscope and go into this and blood and O type and A type bloods and stuff like that. These are all things that those aren't created. I'm sorry, those aren't discovered. I'm sorry, those aren't created. You already have those, right? It's just a matter of looking for why is his blood compatible with his but not with hers? So then you have to kind of discover why. There's different blood types. Boom. Period. But math, it's a little different, man. Because it's like you said, it's level 1, right? That's the basis of all sciences.
The foundation.
And the foundation. So you don't stumble across it, right?
I mean, I think you stumble across it personally.
Ah, man, no way. Like some pharaoh was just walking around Egypt and, yo, what is this? You kind of have to be an intellectual in that sense, or want to discover the next, I don't know, the next calculus or explain something. Because math, all it does is explain stuff, right? Like, why is that like that? Or how does that work?
I mean, it explains physics.
Right.
Which explains everything else.
Exactly. It explains
the
it.
world.
It helps you define things. That's what math is. Because I've always thought about this one, but not like in that sense. And like, you think about 2 plus 2, and like, I mean, it's kind of hard to put your head around. Like, yeah, you have 4 fingers, 2, 2. Now you have 4. Because right, like, I mean, that's just. I mean, I don't know what that's discovery, creation. I don't know. It doesn't
Your
really matter.
explanation of 2 plus 2 is too funny to me, man. It's too funny.
But it's like, I mean, that's math. That's probably the first math ever. I mean, I guess that one is. I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. I mean, it's so easy that I'd hope everybody kind of knew it out at the get-go, but I don't know, right?
So do you think like those like untouched tribes know what 2 plus 2 is? Well, that's the thing. They know what 2 plus 2 is.
Right.
They just discovered it in their own way.
I mean, that one doesn't really take like an intellectual, right, like to find out what that is. I mean, I'd hope so, right? That's not.
Of course. I mean, they're not going to be discovering calculus.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's already there. But I mean, even then, it's like, what's
everything was already there. It's just whenever someone discovers it, not creates it.
Oh man, I don't know. Whenever a son of a gun puts a name after an equation, you gotta believe that he created that, right? I mean, he's
nah, man.
Like I said, the way you're kind of seeing it is almost like what they say about Christopher Columbus, right? He was like the first one to discover the Americas, quote unquote, right? Or was
discovered because it was always there.
Right.
He didn't create the Americas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't create that stuff. It's already been there. But I mean, there's already American Indians there before, or Native Americans already there. So that's whatever. But with math, it's completely different, dude. Because it's man. I mean, I wonder what the last equation was that was created, or the last, or in your sense, discovered. What was the last one that was like, oh, you know what, this explains. I mean, obviously it's going to be something like super complex that we have no use for, like you and I, right? It's going to be something like, some jet engine to get into Mars and stuff like that, and some sort of formula to create this thing. But that all has to be, man, this is a good topic for Elon Musk, because I feel like he's got something to say about this.
He's got something to say
about
this.
For sure.
Like the most recent math discovery was mathematicians found they can design a range of composite materials from moire patterns created by rotating and stretching lattices relative to each other. See, that's too much. I don't understand that. I'm not going to understand anything.
Right.
But it was discovered.
Nah, dude, those mathematicians created something. You said it was equation. What was it? A formula?
Rotating and stretching lattices relative to one in each other.
They had a problem. Like, okay, how do we do this and that? Whatever that is, rotating lattices or whatever.
Okay, so even then, I think they're using. Humans have to use concepts that we can understand in order to apply it to the discoveries that they find.
I like how you twist what you're saying and just throwing a little word of discovery just to emphasize that you're discovering that. But I think that's created, man. I really do. I mean, we don't have to argue about this anymore, but I really think that like okay, like making a pie, right?
Okay,
they put two different things, right? Or you said lattices or whatever, rotating this way and whatever the fuck. They put two things that already exist. Flour and sugar and milk and eggs.
Sure.
And then put them all together and created a cake. So that there is an equation
Okay.
that was created.
That's different. Because in that sense, there's always a right answer.
What do you mean?
Like a pie.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's always a right answer. Like, it's either the pie is super sweet, it's bitter, very bitter. There's always a right answer, depending on what you want. But in math, the answer is definite. It's either right or wrong.
Sure. You're right in that sense. But all I'm saying is that there's things that they never before. But the first person to make a cake was like these. All things exist together, right? They've already. I don't know. Yeah, they already exist. So I'm going to put them together in some sort of way and manner and order to create this other thing. In that sense, that formula, that recipe was created. So I feel like that's the same thing in this, whatever you just said right now with rotating stuff. Like those are things that already existed on their own and did with their purpose. But these mathematicians or whatever created a formula, an equation, what have you, to make it work in a different way to solve some new problem or some whatever.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Sure.
Creating or discovering, do you think there will ever be some type of portal or teleportation device? Do you think it's even possible within like the confines of the universe, not the confines of what we know and understand, but the confines of what the universe allows?
Yeah. I saw, what was it? I think DeGrasse Tyson, Neil, say something along these lines of, the answer is no.
Okay, you say no, or Neil deGrasse
said something like
no?
that. No, it wasn't even him. I think it was like I saw a YouTube video. Will teleportation ever be possible? So now, when as you and I plebs think about teleportation, we think of perhaps standing under some sort of beam. It flashes us, us physical versions, selves, disappear and appear in a different place. Right. That's what our interpretation of teleportation is. I say, oh man, I say no. I say no because you know how much has to go right to make sure your heart is in the right place and that your left leg is where your left leg's supposed to be, and like you're basically being disintegrated.
Yeah, and then reassembled.
Yeah. And making sure that everything goes perfect. Make sure you have your underwear on, right? It creates your underwear. That's just, I just don't see that. I mean, a lot of things that weren't seen what is today 100 years ago. So I say that with a grain of salt and lightly, but from what I know now to be true, I say no. Now they were saying things like the only thing that, in a very like level 1 sense is possible is like something like what do they call those the plastic, they create plastics or whatever, like the 3D printing.
Oh, okay.
Like if I put this can under a 3D printer, I can then print it somewhere else.
That's not.
But that's not our definition of teleportation. Yeah. But they said that in that sense, obviously that could be possible. Now, obviously, you can't like teleport the beer inside of this can, because I mean that would be also teleportation, would it not? Like you'd have to somehow create that same substance over there.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I just don't see that.
And even then, if you got some like little analyzer beam to analyze it and create it over there, you're just creating it. You're not teleporting. You're taking other things and you're just creating it.
Teleporting would be like if they actually put you and your conscious and everything that you have with you in that other sense, right?
I think so.
Right.
I think it will happen.
Really?
Well, okay, let me rephrase. I don't think it will happen. I don't think it will ever happen. But I think it's possible. I just don't think that humans will ever find out how to do it.
Okay, that's I don't know about that argument because there's just no way I can attack you with by saying that. I just can't attack you like that because you're so well protected by the way you said it.
Well, I mean, my question was, within the confines of the universe, do you think it'll ever be possible? By what the universe would allow physically.
Okay, so what makes you believe it is or it would be possible or is possible in any sense?
Just because of we only know what is allowable on this earth. I mean, just to go back to aliens, for example.
Sure.
Like aliens on like other planets, or if there is other aliens on other planets, I mean, basically, if there are aliens on other planets, we are aliens to them, right?
Sure, yeah.
And as far as we know, life as we know it on this planet, we need oxygen, water,
Yeah.
These basic components for our life.
Right.
There might be like another alien out there that's like toxic to them.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sure. Or they need it like once a year or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Or, they love breathing,
carbon dioxide or some
yeah, they love
gas.
breathing like some gaseous lead. That's like a freaking delicacy to them or something,
Yeah.
So my point is, I don't think we'll know it because I think we're so limited to what is allowable on our Earth under the atmospheres that we have to live in, and under the conditions of how we have to survive, that we will never be able to. Because I think like with like teleportation, like portals and stuff like that. Yeah. For some reason, I think there needs to be like some type of immense pressure to like create something like black hole or something that can somehow harness the power to where it's big enough to walk into, but not stretch you to death, and stuff like that. So
your answer is basically
yes, but no.
Because we know so little, surely it's possible.
I think it has to be possible. I think so many things are possible. It's just, as humans, we'll never be able to grasp the knowledge to make it happen.
That's an interesting answer. Because like I said, you can't be argued against, because it's like, well, with what we know, it's impossible. But because there's so much out there that we don't know, it's got to be possible.
I think it has to be, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what about time travel?
Well, time travel is also a little funky because...
I mean, that one's different.
Right. Because it has to do with speed.
It affects everyone.
What?
It affects everybody.
Time travel.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant like traveling through like space so fast, because isn't like the speed of light. If you go to a certain like, what is it, like Mach something 15 or something, like you go so freaking fast that time doesn't go.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about.
Right,
Yeah,
so that's also time travel.
Yeah, you go fast enough to where time slows down for you, but to everyone else who's like observing it or something, because time is relative.
That's also time travel, but it's not in the sense of like, oh, I want to go 50 years back, right? That's
you're slowing down time. Yeah. So it's time travel, but you're slowing down time for everyone who is from that observing point.
Exactly. So
what about going back in time?
What was that?
So what about going back in time?
What's the question?
I mean, do you think it's possible to time travel, like going back in time?
No way, dude.
Not even in the weirdest ways of the universe, and what other weird elements there may be that we have.
Well, look, if we're putting in the context of like, there's so much out there that we don't know, like kind of your answer about teleportation, then maybe yes, because look, the Flash, the DC universe hero.
Okay.
His superpower is to be able to run fast, right?
Yeah.
In his comic book depiction, he is able to, in one part of the show or the comic book series, that he runs so fast in a direction that he starts going back in time. Right? So that, he ran, 5 minutes or whatever like that. So fast that time went backwards, and he went back to like when he was a child. So now that's obviously a comic book and very extreme, but if we're able to, we just mentioned right now, go Mach 18 and slow down time for ourselves, is that going into the future? Or is that going back into the past? I don't know. That's just slowing it down. So
you're slowing it down for yourself, and the universe is aging.
So you're going back in time then, right? Because
you're not going back in time. You're just slowing time down.
But right, let's say you slow down a month.
Okay.
And it's a year for us.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's not back in time, but it would be back in time for everybody else, because you'd be like, wait,
because
are you still the same age?
You would be aging a year, where we're only aging a month.
Right. Okay, so you're going. Yeah,
you're still going forward. You're just going forward at a slower rate. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess the backwards part would be a little bit tricky. I don't know how that'd work, because there's no back in time, only forward. No, I don't think that's possible. I mean, look, if your answer is going to be like, hey, it's not possible with our resources, but
No, I don't think it's possible. Period. I'll just be flat out.
Okay,
I don't think it's possible.
Because that would be crazy. That'd be insane. Because even if you somehow whatever happens, you were able to, it would mess up. It would mess with the world. It would absolutely mess it up. Like no one's going to be able to keep their mouth shut when they know that Kobe Bryant's going to die on that one helicopter he get on. So he or she's going to make whoever is her hero to not do that thing or not go to that place or not get on that vehicle. That would mess up time. And everything, dude. Everything. A World Cup could be changed.
Everything.
A phone call. Bro. All it takes is like a phone call. If you got the right phone call at the right time, you could be a lottery winner.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that would change everything. That would change absolutely freaking everything. So that's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And it's funny how there's like movies out there that kind of play around with time travel and how easy they take it, right? I would like to see a movie of like they go back in time, like let's say 50 years, and it's like the JFK assassination, and they're the driver, the Secret Service driver, and they swerve in such a way that it kills a pedestrian or something like that. What would then happen? Would JFK lose his mind and be like, you know what, everybody's after me, I'm gonna become a dictator?
I think we're on to our next movie idea.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because like one little thing like that can change the course of someone's thought and someone important's thought.
It's like a butterfly effect.
Exactly. Yeah, a domino effect or whatever.
How like one little change somewhere, like the flap of a butterfly's wings creates a tornado somewhere else.
It's crazy, man. That's so powerful. Super powerful. Interesting. I saw this interview the other day. It was this guy asked this rapper. He was like, "Hey, if you can time travel, how far would you go?" He's like, "I'd go into the future." I was like, "Wow, what an answer!" I mean, he was probably just trying to be
going in the future. I'm not going in the future.
Why not?
No, man, the future.
No, see, I mean, your answer is both wrong and right at the same time. So whatever you say, it's.
I think as the years go by, the world is like crumbling a little bit by little bit. So I mean,
pessimistic, huh?
If a little bit, yeah. So I mean, if current trends continue, it ain't a good look. I would much rather go in the past, like maybe I don't know. Give me like 1700s, 1800s. I think back then, times were simpler. You could just enjoy yourself. You could chill. No one's gonna mess with you. I mean.
You said 1700s.
Yeah.
I thought we had this conversation before, and you said that, like just a couple episodes ago, you said something like that life could not be possible today. What you meant by that life is like a farm. You have your farm animals. You sell eggs and some sheep wool, and you just kind of live your life off of that. And you said that wouldn't be possible. I mean, I don't know if you changed your mind or not. Obviously,
I don't think it's possible for us, like for the general person in a developed country. I think you would lose your mind. But to someone that's not exposed to modern amenities,
yeah, this is exactly what we had this conversation on.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. Like you can't just put the next adult in a farm today and just drop them there and then have he or she live off of the farm animal and
with 10 books of how to raise a farm.
No, like that wouldn't be possible today, obviously. But if that was something that you wanted or someone wanted, it's very possible for you to achieve that goal and to put yourself in that situation.
Maybe in like a different country, like
I don't know. You forget that freaking states like freaking Kentucky exist.
I don't know, man. I think you gotta be in like Moldova.
Hey, that's fine. But I'm just saying it's possible here as well. Like Utah's pretty big and pretty green.
No, I don't think so, because then the government is still gonna come for your taxes and whatnot, and I'm talking about like actually truly live off land. No one's gonna bother you, and you just live off the land, hunter-gatherer style.
Well, I'm sure that back in the 1700s, I'm sure there was like some sort of like
where you gotta like travel to the market like an hour and a half away
by foot or horse.
Yeah, by carriage.
But at that time, like, you probably didn't even need a market. I mean, what would you actually need? I mean, those people
Tools.
that actually lived in farms back in the 1700s, like,
Yeah.
what would they need? Maybe like toilet paper or something.
Like a new shovel, because like you've just used yours for years and it's broke.
Yeah, I wonder how they did that. Actually, I wonder if they had like salesmen come over to their farms and like, hey, I got the new shovel type of thing.
Got the new shovel.
you want one? Like the way that they would sell like medicines and potions at town squares and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Hey, they got the potion here to solve cancer and headaches both together in one concoction.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Good stuff.
Oh man, that's interesting to talk about. That's interesting to think about. You would go back in time, huh?
Absolutely. Like I said, 1700s, 1800s. Easy. You? Final thoughts on that? Where are you going?
The future would be interesting, man. Because like I'm sure all those people that live in the 1700s would be like, hey, I wonder what 2022 is like. And like they wouldn't really care about this whole, politics and stuff like that. They just kind of care about like quality of life. Oh, we got air conditioning, we got fans, we got cell phones, we got lights.
Oh, I need my air conditioning.
What was that?
You know I need my air conditioning.
Yeah. You won't have that in the 1700s at all. You'd have that cow smell, dung, looking ass farm. So I think the future would be interesting. It would just suck for me to go in the future and just to find everything destroyed, right? Well, like I get caught in the middle of a civil war or something, like the last two countries that exist. Whatever. That would suck. But the future would be interesting. I don't know how far forward I'd go. Maybe like 200 years. I think 200 years is like the perfect, like, hey, you know what? There'll still be life at that time. Unless like a meteor hits and that's it. That's it right there. I don't know, man. Let us know what you guys think. You want to go back in the future? How far? You want to go in the future? Or back in the past? How far you want to go? If you're okay, hey, you know what? I'm actually pretty okay where I'm at right now, honestly. Like,
maybe I can go back like 30 years.
Okay, last question. If you had the option to go back in the past or future or whatever, would you take it and get rid of where you're at right now?
What do you mean?
Like, you just can't come back to today.
Okay, and how far back am I going?
As far as you want to go.
As far as I want to go. Yeah. Like, do I go back in time age-wise, or do I stay my age right now?
Stay your age. If you want to go back to the 1700s and become a sheep farmer, then you do that. I mean, you're still going to have to go learn the crafts, but I mean, there's not much else to do besides learn stuff. You'll be fine.
That's a tough question.
It's a very tough question.
That is a tough question.
You don't love your car that much. You don't love your energy drinks that much, huh? Do you want to go back to just black coffee and water?
I need my energy. I need my monsters.
Okay, so you're staying here. You're staying here.
I might go back a little bit in time. Maybe like 10 years ago. No, maybe a few years ago, just to get that Monster Mule flavor back.
Monster what?
Monster Mule. It's a delicious flavor. Absolutely delicious flavor. And they only had it for like 2 years and they discontinued it. And I even emailed Monster about it. I was like, I need some more Monster Mule.
You crazy for
I was like, why can I not find this anywhere anymore? And they're like, oh yeah, we're discontinuing.
They actually answered.
Yeah, they did.
Oh wow.
And I was pissed.
Hey, respect for answering.
I mean, it was nice of them to answer, but I was pissed when
if you would have known, you would have stocked up 30 grand on that.
Golly, I would have bought crates.
Hey, good answer. 10 years.
Right.
I say where I'm at.
I'll stay where I'm at. I'm going back in time 10 years, I think. 2012. Maybe even... No, I'm going back in time.
Further.
2004. Yeah.
You're going to buy a house in Texas or something like that and buy some stock and... or was it short some houses or something?
Nah, I think 2004 was just a better time. Even though I was young and stupid.
Same age though, same age.
Yeah, same age. Yeah,
okay.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I'm saying even though whenever I was in 2004, I was young and stupid and didn't understand everything.
Yeah.
I'd imagine 2004 to be a better place than now.
Interesting, because you live up to this age or this year anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to do this all over again.
Well, I mean, I'm going back at my age right now.
Right, so you'd be like 30. You'd be almost like 40.
Wow, I'll be 40
in 2022.
Oh man, that's.
This should have been a main topic because this got you thinking.
I can't even imagine being 40.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, let's just wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode. We're glad to be back. Expect to see more of us and other guests pronto before you know it. Stay in touch. We have an Instagram, Pleb Talk, YouTube. Subscribe. And
drop us some comments. Yeah. Drop us some private messages. We'd like to respond to it all. I'm Sean.
My name's Alcel.
And this is Pleb Talk.
Good night, y'all. Have a good day. Have a good day at work. Stretch, exercise, drink water, and until next time.
Until next time.